Okay, so that's the expression one, and as I said, try and have it named, so the actual mesh body named, so that one's happy, and then my original one is neutral. So and I'm just selecting the mesh. I don't need to select the group or the eyes or the glasses or the bow tie or any of that. So just select the mesh, shift select the expression mesh first, and then shift select the neutral one last. Then up to deform and blend shape. That's it. Click on that. And then to actually make it blend, click on the neutral one. So select that, go up to Windows, Animation Editors, and it's the shape editor. Click on that. And that should open. Oh, see, I had the other blend shape on here already, but anyway, so this is my new one here. So it just has happy. So I just do a test to make sure it works and drag the slider. And that means it's working. So then,
sorry, just the teeth. Then would
you do that separately? The teeth, yeah, the teeth would have to just be keyed separately. So if I opened his mouth like that, I'd actually physically have to key the teeth as individual objects to move with it. So they don't move with the expression because they're separate objects. And you don't have to use the teeth. I just given them as an option. If I'll just show you, see if I can get it working on this one. For some reason they are even disappearing. I'm just going to select all the keys on the teeth there and delete them. So the teeth kind of have an upper and a lower. So they're two separate. You'll see in the outliner there's an upper and a lower teeth. So your upper ones really shouldn't move. Now you may need to nudge them just. But, it is the upper ones that don't move, isn't it? Yeah. So your bottom ones have to move with the jaw. So I have selected, my upper teeth, set a key on it. So remember S at frame 1, and my lower teeth at frame 1, set a key on them too. So then as my expression changes, so I'd kind of do the expression first and then I can do the teeth after. So wherever my lowest point is there, so it should be about 70. Select my bottom teeth and move them down. Now you can see, because I've curved my mouth so much, the teeth have a kind of they're disappearing at the back. So you might want to make sure, like if you're going to use the teeth, make sure the mouth kind of accommodates them. About there. So yeah, I probably don't want the teeth to move until the expression starts to change. So I'm actually going to middle mouse drag over to frame 30 and just set a key there so the teeth aren't moving anywhere until after frame 30, and then they go down with the expression. Actually, I think that kind of could probably go to about there. And then they'd have to come back up. So my expression is staying until about frame 100. So again, key the teeth in the same position, and then they come back up at frame 125. So they should be back up.
Are we doing like happy and sad, or is it just one? Did you say?
It can just be one.
Okay.
Is there any way of making the timeline kind of real time? Because when I play it, it goes really quick.
Yeah, just right click anywhere in the timeline and see playback speed.
Oh yeah, great.
Switch to real time, yeah. Bit of a strange angle there, aren't they?
And do you just do it from neutral to sad and then leave it there, or do you go back into neutral?
I try and go back. I think it looks, yeah. So, for instance, this is neutral, neutral, happy, and then he goes back to neutral.
Okay.
So you can use the whole 125 frames. Should just enough time to kind of read the expression and his floating dentures. It's a bit better. Yeah, you don't have to use the whole that's a bit slow, but 120. But yeah, just go neutral to change back to neutral.
I'm sorry, Denise. I know you've shown it now a million times. I have it where it's doing everything where you can, like, it's running, but I just haven't got it keyed down in the time frame or whatever you call it.
Yeah. Okay. So the keys that are showing up on mine there are the teeth. So when you're doing it, your keys won't show up. So I'm just going to save that. Yeah, I'll save that. So if I go back to the one prior to it, no. Never mind, I didn't save one prior to it. Yeah, so I'll just take off the keys off mine. I'll take them off the teeth too. So to delete them off the teeth is easier. The head, then I have to open my animation editor, graph editor, and there's my keys on my expression. So I'm just going to delete them. So now he's like this. I go into my windows, my animation editor and shape editor. So this is it's already open there. So this is where you know it's working. I'll just hide them because they're in the way. So this, you've done this much, you've kind of got it working.
Yeah.
So to key it then, yeah, is, so you're kind of looking at your keyframe out here, but you're keying it in here, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So you go frame 1, so happy in, because it's in neutral, so there's no change. So just right click it and key. So that keys it at frame 1 in neutral. And then in order for it to stay in neutral, so you have to kind of go up to, say you want it to stay neutral to about frame 30 or maybe frame 25. Then right click on it again and key it again. So it's staying neutral.
Okay.
And then you want it to maybe go into a full smile by about frame 50. So drag up your smile happy then. It has turned red, and I have auto key on here, so it is keying it automatically. So if not, just right click to key it, just to make sure it's keying it. And you won't see the keys here, that's the problem. So now it's going neutral, neutral, full smile, and you want to maybe keep it in full smile for, maybe give it 10 frames. So frame 60.
Why can't you see it? Is there?
It's just because you're keying a blend shape, it's not an object as such.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's and I'd say we could write a script to show it, but we won't. If you want to see it, if you want to see it as you're doing it, just open up your your graph editor. Just have your graph editor open there.
Okay.
And then, with that open, you'll see there's your keys. just select on the head and you'll see your keys. So you can see that's mine at frame 1, frame 30, or frame 25, frame 50. It's in full smile. So I'll just put that down a little bit there. And then go on to frame. So I want to hold it open until about frame 60. So, I want it to stay happy. Because otherwise, if I put the keys in too soon, it'll start, it'll start closing its mouth immediately. So you kind of want to hold it in a happy pose for about 10 frames.
Okay.
So right click key again. So it's keyed again, then open. So you can see there. Oh, I probably needed to go on a bit further actually. So it goes to say maybe 80. Key. Yeah, actually, it's not updating automatically in the graph editor, so you kind of have to click away and click it again.
Okay.
The way that didn't show up, so I'm actually going to get rid of that because that's a bit too far down. So it's open, or it's smiling, staying smiling is the second one there, and then bring it on to 80, and I could start closing it down again then.
So you don't have to put it back into neutral. You don't have to duplicate the first guy again, and you can just use the same.
No, just use the same. Yeah. So that's it there now. So it's neutral, neutral, smile, smile, neutral.
Thank you.
So neutral, neutral, smile, whole smile, and then goes back to neutral. Yeah, but yeah, this is the only way you're going to see your keys. And if you want to make them linear or whatever, anyway, I won't worry about that. That doesn't really matter. So to play it back then, just hit your play. So I might like to hold that a bit longer actually, so I'm going to move these keys here. Or you can just delete the key and do it again. You know what I mean? Delete the key, just highlight it and delete it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, Denise. How do I make it show up in the timeline? Because I was pressing play, and nothing was happening. So how do I like change the expression in the timeline?
Did you key it just what I did there a minute ago? Did you do that? Like
I was trying to. How do I press? How do I do the key again?
yeah. So if I'm open here in my shape editor, oh, it's open down here. Sorry. So I need to using my timeline down here. So that's the frame. Right click on the actual. So just right click on, see I have happy there, so right click on happy and key.
Okay. And I key that would I key that at the beginning or towards?
Whichever. So this is your blend shape now, so you're kind of in control of it. So at frame 1, I want it to stay neutral. So that's it in the neutral position. So right click it at frame 1.
Okay.
Then drag it up to, as I said, about frame 25 and key it in that same position again. So right click, key again. So because I want it to stay neutral for the first 25 frames. And then if I want the smile to happen, say at about frame 60, that's when I drag up to 60 and right click and key. So it'll stay neutral, neutral, neutral. Then it'll start smiling and be fully smiling at frame 60.
Thanks.
And then if I wanted to hold that open for a few frames again, say up to frame 80, key it again. So that's keyed in the fully happy pose. And then go on past that to close it down again. And key it again, closed. Another one. I see the back of the throat there that's showing up on mine. I probably could get away with just moving those edges. I'm not adding or deleting. I'm just going to move them. Turn off my... Just it's annoying me that I can see the back of it. Maybe not. Oh. I'm just pulling down the back of the throat there, but sounds painful. But and now I'm after keying them. Maybe don't. Yeah, no. Keying kind of sub-objects like that isn't the best thing to do. So maybe just leave that, especially if you've already done your animating. See how it works. No, maybe it'll do. Oh, I think what happened was I moved it when I was pulling vertices to create the expression. So I actually pulled them up on the expression head. So this is the one I need to get at them. I know that looks like a bit of a spaghetti.
And can you key the eyes as well with it, or is it only the expression?
It's only the expression. If we were going to do the eyes, we didn't really get into doing the controllers for them. Yeah, I don't know if we want to get into it really.
Okay.
We don't need to. I have a video on doing that if you wanted to go through it. If I don't have it up on YouTube, I'll throw it up there later. I can kind of go through it quickly here if anyone wants to, if you're interested. Because we have to make kind of a bit of a controller thing for the eyes, if you know what I mean.
Okay, right. So it's not just keying the movement. Okay, that's grand.
You could, but well, I suppose you could if you want to try and do that and make it work. But to make usable, movable eyes, you kind of have to set up a bit of a something for them to be controlled by.
Okay.
I don't know if I have one here. I'll see. Yeah, no, don't worry about that for now. It's fine.
Okay.
I got rid of my throat thing. You can see, this would probably look better too when he's rigged, and you could put him into a better pose. But anyway, we're doing what we can do, and we want to get it done too.
Denise?
Yeah.
What you were saying about the eyes, was that just for the eyeballs or the eyelids?
The eyelids, the eyelids are kind of part of the mesh, so you'd have to kind of, close them down with it.
So you can do the eyelids?
You can, oh yeah, no, you can do the eyelids, that's fine. And you can even move the eyeballs if you want, you just have to manually move them. But you don't need to. If you wanted to have them kind of, I don't know, rotate up or rotate down, you just have to key them manually.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This is how you would go about it. I've created a locator. And I'm actually going to hide those glasses. Select my locator, and move it, snap it to the center of that eye. Duplicate it, move that over. Snap it to the center of that eye. Go to the perspective view. Pull them out in front. And what I would normally do is create a little goggle kind of, if I do a nerve circle. Rotate it around. Right click on that, get into control vertex, select the middle, scale it down. Back to object mode. So I'm kind of making a little goggly control. Drag that in front. Pull it up. So I'm just going to select the eye. Which one did I use? Constrain point. No, constrain aim. That didn't work. My eyeball's gone missing. Oh. I do it the other way around. Try this one. Oh, I know what I did. I had to change a setting in here. Maintain offset. Anyway, it's not working for me. I'll have to look at my own video. That should be working. Anyway, I'll have to look up how to remind myself. I don't know why it's not. But anyway, and what you'd end up having then is the goggles kind of controlling the eyes. And they should follow it, rotating it around. But we don't need to really do that. Just before the end, I will kind of just again go through how to render out a turnaround. So I'll go back to the one prior to this expression. So this is kind of what we want to end up with. Now he should be textured. You know, and we rendered that out, but we want to render it out nicely, you know, so render it out with Arnold. So you'll have to render it out frame by frame and then compile it in Premiere. So I'll go through the process of doing that. And again, I have a video up on YouTube, but just to go through it. Where are we? 26. So this is assuming, you know, he's textured and everything, and everything is finished. He doesn't really have to have his blend shapes on either. So it can be the one prior to the blend shapes, because sometimes the blend shapes can make it confusing. If you're doing the blend shapes, remember you have at least another character over there. So switch him off or put him on a layer and make him disappear. You don't want him appearing too. So you need to light your scene. I'm going to get rid of, I have a sky dome light in there. So you want to put something kind of under him and behind him, like a background. So I've put a file out on the files. Let me just double check it's there. So I just look at your to bees. Oh, it doesn't matter actually, it's on the general. I think, is it? No, it's on your channel. Just maximize that up on files. So there should be a, there it is there, Curver and Light Maya file. So download that and I'll show you what that is. So once I have my Curver and Light, I'm going to go here, File, Insert or Import. And it's basically just a ground with a light on it. Now have I put it in here? No. So maybe I'll just download that myself. Just go to the three dots, download. It's ending up there. I'm actually going to put it into the folder where I want it. And because it's only a Maya file on its own, it shouldn't zip or anything. So now in here, I'm going to go File, Import. And there it is there, Curver and Light. I can't remember if it comes in huge or tiny. Okay, so it's coming in big. So what I want that is kind of behind my character. So I'm just kind of pushing it back there. And I can obviously scale it way down. It's basically just a curved background. I thought I had it in position, but maybe not. I think if your character's still the giant one from before you brought into Mudbox, it'll probably work, but if it's not, you'll have to shrink it down. The light has been scaled up too, so I'm just going to bring that scale way down on the light. And you can kind of, you can manually do that. So I'm going to look at the side here just to see where my, there it is there. So, I want him standing on it, and I want him standing on the flat part, not in the curved part. So it's probably still a bit big. I'm going to bring it down, maybe 0.1. No. 0.5. Yeah. So I want him standing on it. If he's on the curved part or if he's above it, you just kind of get funny shadows and it looks like he's levitating. So try and get him to stand on the flat part of it. To see how your light is working, if you turn on in your lighting tab there, use all lights. So I should be able to. Now what's going on with that? I'm just going to render this to see what's up. Is it anywhere near him? Maybe not. That might be the problem. So I looked there, my top view, it wasn't even pointing at him. But now it is, and he's still not. So when I render that, he is actually lighting up. So again, I don't know why. I'm going to look at the attribute editor for this. Scroll down. Okay, I'm not really liking that light. I'm going to get rid of it and create another one. So Arnold lights, area light. And I don't know if that's a version problem or what, but no, this isn't displaying either. So my exposure on that light, I'm just in the attribute editor and I'm going to up the exposure. If I go to 20, it should, yeah, so now this one is working. So that light that you import in isn't working, so just delete it and put a new one in. So that's way too bright, so I'm going to bring that way down, maybe 10. And you may even have to go a little bit lower than that, 10, 9. You know, a point makes a big difference. It kind of is. Okay. Upping the exposure by a lot when you just go one by one. So I'm just going to do a quick render to see how that looks. Yeah. Bit difficult without the colors working on it. This film gate and resolution gate, if I put them on, that shows me what is going to render. So I kind of get a better idea of what I'm going to see in my render. So if I kind of look at something like that, I'm going to move this over or scale it, one or the other, to make it fill the entire window. So you don't want floaty black bits, you know, space anywhere around it. You want to position him kind of somewhat nicely in the center there. And I'm just doing test render here for your lighting, so you kind of get your lighting working before you do your rendering. I'll try and put at least a color on him. My machine's starting to make a funny noise too. Okay. I'm just trying to get the... Oh, all right, it is working. So now if I do a render. Good. So that's kind of how the lighting is working. So I can make adjustments. I might want to turn up that light a little bit. So I can grab my light in the outliner there. So there it is there. And just up the exposure maybe to 10. And see how that looks. So I'd have to re-render it then. Yeah, so exposure to 10 I think looks better. The position of the shadows is the position then kind of on your screen. So if I go back to, you know, I'd probably usually have my light over this way and rotate it towards him. I can scale that up, which shouldn't affect the lighting. It's mainly just the actual icon for the light. So you can see my shadows now are kind of at the back of him, kind of coming at a better angle. If I want to kind of work with the lighting on the fly, you know, I could well, it doesn't really add anything, but my renderer there, I can switch that to Arnold. So, you know, if I increase or decrease my lights, it'll update it. I don't have to keep hitting re-render. Yes, I can try it. 11's not bad either. But let's just under render there and go back to viewports to see what it looks like in real. I might just put a color on that so I can. Lambert. Okay. So you can, you know, save out some of these renders too. So these would be your final renders, you know, of your overall, you know, if I click a render here now and I'm happy enough with it, I can do some close-ups too, you know, so this is where you want to show off your, if you've done some nice modeling on the hands or on the feet or on the toes or anywhere you want to show off, zoom in and render that particular area. And then when you want to save it, remember File, Save Image, and you want to make sure it's not a raw image, you want it to be color managed. The file type is to be JPEG and give it a name. So, nice monster. I'll call it January 1 just to make a difference. So that would be one image saved. I could maybe do a nice close-up. File, save image. Close. So, you know, I'm just saving out some nice renders as I'm going along. So that's kind of separate to the, you know, turnaround. So they're kind of still images, but you'd have to do that anyway to test your lighting, you know, so you want to get your lighting and all working before you render it out as a rotation. So say I was happy with all of that, you know, I'm happy with the positioning. I'm just going to turn this off first. So I want to get him to rotate. So in order to rotate, he has to be a group. So I have a group there and it's called body bits. So if you haven't grouped, which you probably will have done maybe from before, but the group is everything, you know, his bow tie, his glasses, his teeth, his eyes, whatever accoutrements are outside of him, they all have to be in the group. And after you group him, go modify and center pivot. So you're centering pivot on the group. My group is called body bits. So, and to test that, if I do a rotation, see the way it all rotates. So I'm not, bits aren't left behind and he's not kind of rotating in a different position of the screen or anything. So again, I'm going to, well, I don't really have to have these on. So to rotate them, this is another reason not to, well, I mean, if it's not the end of the world if you change expressions on his rotation, but you know, we need to set up keys for the rotation too. So at frame 1, with the group selected, type S to set a key. So I've set a key at frame 1. And then at 120, you know, you kind of want to start rotating them around. I've moved my slider up. I'm going to go into channel box and make sure that's 360. And I already, auto key was on here, so it automatically put a key there. So now if I hit play, it should just rotate around like that. And it should keep going. Now there's a bit of a slow in and a slow out there, so in order to adjust that, I need to open my graph editor. And I can see the slow in, slow out. So I'm just going to select the two keys there and make them linear. And that just gets rid of, you know, it should just keep the same speed rotating. And then I'd go back to, you know, my film gate resolution gate, just making sure he's sitting in the right place. And rotate him around and he's looking okay. And then he's ready to render. I might leave the rendering till next week just because I do have the video up on YouTube, so anyone who gets there can keep going with this too. But I know it's 5 to 2 now, and if you want to get a little bit ready for the Tom Moore thing. I'll go through it just quickly, but it's under the settings here on your little clapperboard or your render settings. Your so the things that you need to change are image format. You want to make them JPEG or PNGs. I'm going to make them PNGs. And the frame animation extension, I don't want a single frame. I want the last option there. So the name _ hashtag dot extension. It's the very last option there. So what it's going to do is take the name of your file and add a 001, 002, 003, you know, onto it. And then the frame range is the next thing you need to change. So your start frame is 1 and your end frame is 125, I think I have, isn't it? It's the number of frames on your timeline. So again, it's telling you there where they're going to end up to. So this is your path. Your renderable cameras. So the size, the preset is HD 540, so you just leave it at that. You know, there's all the different sizes are in there. And that's it. Then to actually start the render, you have to be in your rendering menus, render, and there's batch render and render sequence. Now batch render is the one we'd usually use, but it usually comes in with a watermark from Arnold. So render sequence should be better. Just click on the setting there. We don't really need to change anything. So just render sequence. And it'll start. So 1. You know, so it has to render the 25 frames. So it's something you could do, you know, set it going before you have to go and do something else.
Denise, why would you do the PNG rather than JPEG?
Just, you can do either, but just PNG can be sometimes a better quality.
Okay.
JPEG, because it's compressed, and then we're going to bring it into Premiere and recompress.
Okay.
You know, sometimes, and you know what, sometimes it comes out fine. So it's
Okay.
not wrong if you use JPEG, just
Okay.
if your final images are coming out poor quality, that can be often why.
Okay.
In production, you would really render out even in TIFFs or Targas, which are totally non-compressed, but you end up with a lot of very large files.
Okay.
But they're uncompressed, you know, so they have all the detail. That's how you hear about rendering farms and stuff. You know, we're dealing with one little character, fairly small. Now he's fairly flying along here. Sometimes they're longer than that. but that's to do with, it's the compression. JPEG is a nice small file, but it's compressed.
Okay. Thank you.
So anyway, that's going to do its thing. And then what you want to do after that is bring it into Premiere and export it out as an MP4. So I won't go through all that now. I think we've enough. So I'm actually going to stop this. To stop it, if you hit escape, it should stop the rendering. And if I looked into my folder now, I should have a load of files. I'm trying to think, maybe I should stay with, anyway. Projects, you see, and they should go into images. Yeah, they're there. I think I'd obviously rendered this out before because there's a lot more in there than I just rendered there. But you see, so it'll name them. So then we're just going to import them into Premiere and output as an AVI. Or sorry, MP4. I'm trying to switch to MP4s. You all should have access to Premiere. It's with your Creative Cloud. So I think you all have that. And we're not getting into learning Premiere. We're just basically importing the files in and exporting out as another movie file. So goal is to get it, we'll get our turnaround for next week. And even if you got to that stage and had them rendered out, that would be good too, because then you can, the Premiere part isn't that long to do.
Sorry, Denise, I'm just moving the teeth again. So do I just key the teeth, is it?
Yeah.
And it's the same set, not on the two different models, does it?
Yeah, they're separate. Yeah, so I would key the bottom teeth to move down. Keep the top teeth should really stay in position, unless they're not doing what you want them to do. Then you can key them. But they have to be keyed separately because they're not part of the mesh. All right, well, unless there's any other questions, I will let you go.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Jan.
Okay.
See you later.
Bye. All good?
Denise, are you uploading this to the drive?
Which one? Oh yeah, I will. The yes, I will. I'll put it. No, I'll put it up on